Our second panel discussion is an interaction with industry leaders and influencers. We begin with the IT and ITES sector. I call upon stage Mr. Dinanath Kholkar, Tata Consultancy Services, Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, Badway Engineering Limited, and Mr. Sunil Kulkarni, Fidel Softtech Limited. I request Mr. Prashant Girbane to moderate the session, please.
Hello, we'll wait for the mics to be adjusted. I understand that it's post-lunch session. If you are done with all the conversations, we can wait for the session to begin till your conversations complete. I'll request my colleagues to make sure that we don't have any background noise, and we will wait for the session, Geeta, till the background noise subsides. Very happy for all the internal conversations to complete, and then we'll be starting the session. There are 118 people who are waiting for you to complete your conversation. All right, thank you. Is this working? Fine. First of all, we'll give a huge round of applause to my panelists here. Great to see as many of us are awake after lunch. So here is the format of the panel, like we've been running through the morning. There is only one question for the entire conference today. The question is the same for every panel. The time is also the same, and that's all of 200 seconds. That's a lot of time. And we figured it out in the morning session, as 10 speakers covered in 3 panel discussions could communicate so much in that time. The question is, sitting here in this audience and the panel, there are representatives of industry and there are representatives of academic institutions. For increasing the collaboration between industry and academic institution, the singular question is, as industry, what do you think that the academic institution should do to further improve employability of the students who pass through their portals? That's a simple question. And what is it that they should do in the next 12 to 18 months frame? The nation would be built a lot better and bigger over the next 5-10 years that we all are convinced about. The question for every panelist is, what is it that the academic institution should do differently or should do little better, little more in the next 12 to 18 months to increase the employability of their employees in companies like yours? We did in the morning session with HR managers from IT industry, automotive industry, and other engineering industries. This session is with industry leaders, where we have Deena Kholkar, who represent TCS. Deena is the senior vice president there. Deepak Shikarpur represents Badway Engineering, as well as in his own right, he has written multiple books and he has been evangelist for IT, ITS, and knowledge economy. And we have Shri Sunil Kulkarni, who represents the Fidel Softtech. So I'll start with you, Deena, and we'll move clockwise, so to say. The question remains the same, and we'll have good 3 minutes. And if there are any questions anyone in the audience has, you know the WhatsApp number. Ask your question. You can give your name if you like and where you come from. And we'll pick up a couple of those questions and ask them at the end of it. Over to you, Deena.
Thanks, Prashant, and thanks for having me on this panel. So let me be very direct and very clear about the expectations that industry has. The first one, and it's probably given the COVID phase that we have gone through, I think each and every academic institution has to reflect upon what has changed, what are the type of things which have impacted the students, and ensure that at least some amount of correction is brought in, because there are still students in the flow which have got impacted. So I think it is good to reflect and look at the impact that the students might have had in their academic career. A few other points I would like to say is that I always insist that the academicians should focus on fundamentals, and I think that is the most critical aspect of the education. And since I represent IT and ITS ES industry, mathematics, for example, it's very, very crucial for computing. And it is important that we do not dilute the fundamentals that are the responsibility of the academicians. The third point I would like to say is that learning agility is a very important element. Every industry is evolving very fast. We as a business, TCS started off as an IT-focused organization, and today we do design of cars, we do various different types of services. It's very important that we are able to quickly upskill and reskill the people. So I think that's the other element I would look at the academicians. Look at different means, different ways by which the students will learn. The next topic is about future-proofing. It is very important that when you have your teaching staff, your research staff in your institutions, give them the exposure to understand what is there from an opportunity point of view in the future, so that they can provide inputs into reframing some of the academic curriculum or giving exposure to the students. I have been a very strong advocate, Prashant, of industry forums, and I feel that students as well as the faculty members should participate in industry forums. And MCCI, for example, itself is a great example. You have many opportunities to volunteer for various of the activities, and I think students should look at that as an exposure because they get to meet with a lot of people from the industry. I have been very actively involved with both IEEE as well as ACM, and there are many opportunities for students to look at. So would encourage academicians to also participate and do this. One of the other things is the connect with the alumnus is another thing which I would strongly recommend the institutions. Many of the institutions I have seen the last 25 years, I have been very closely involved with many of the engineering education establishments here, and we have built up the Pune ecosystem quite a lot, but I feel we have not done well enough to stay connected with the alumnus, and I feel that is very important. And lastly, while this is a great event for getting industry and academia together, there is a lot of efforts that academia is putting to connect with industry in India or people who are potential recruiters or job creators for their students. But I think it's also a good opportunity to look at industry which is looking at establishing in India. So for example, Pune has a very well chalked out plan for, say, the electronic cluster, for example. And there will be a lot of investment coming in, not just from Indian IT or Indian companies, but also from foreign investments which will come in. Building up connects with them would also be useful, and MCCI again provides a great opportunity. I've been fortunate to have attended many of the events, be it from Norway or from Sweden or from Germany. I think we have very good connects, and I think it's a great opportunity to leverage that connect overall. So I thought I'll just list down a few points which might be useful for the students as well as academicians.
Thank you so much, Dina. Before Deepak, I should mention that this comes from one of the largest IT organizations, IT-ITS organizations in the world. It also comes from Dina in earlier avatar having headed about 100,000 people or possibly closer to that kind of a number in the division that he was looking at, to a division that would have lesser number but larger impact, to a division that would have a lot more global networking with global OEMs and global organizations, so to say, right? So the essence expressed in 2.5 minutes is coming from more than 25 years of experience, so take it that way. Now we'll move to Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, who has written about 50 books that I know for sure, and a whole lot more that he has written and communicated. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you, Prashant. That number is 47, not 50. Okay, but I take that as a goal. So 2023 we will cross 50. Okay. I second many of the points what Dina has already said. So I will speak about some new issues. While as he has spoken good about theoretical foundation, which I completely agree, but it should be supplemented with practical knowledge and real life experience, because we have an element, and that element should not exist, and that is called fresher. Who is a fresher? A fresher is a person who is passed, who has somehow crossed the hurdle of examination, but he can't do anything. Now I will give you analogy. You have, most of us have maid servants at home. Now if maid servant tells I am on leave, but I will send a fresher. This fresher animal comes in your home and says, मुझे कुछ नहीं आता, आप सिखाओ. Now will you keep that person as a replacement? You will not. So this is the problem. We should ensure that our academic system never creates freshers. So we need to replace it with a term called learner. Learner is a person who is constantly learning. And another problem we have in the academic system is exam-centric focus. So teachers and students are continuously worried about semester, that exam, and their objective of entering a college is not to make career, not to learn, but somehow to pass the exam. So I have written to Anil Sastravutteji, AICT chairman, that the most pleasant day I will ever face in my life is once, number one, when we take POK as part of India, happiness number one, and happiness number two, we remove this concept of exam. The day exam is removed, your employability problem will be solved. Because then the purpose of execution will be completely different. Then problem solving skills, which is very important. Because industry doesn't work according to syllabus. Industry is problem solving. Now, do we teach problem solving skills as a part of higher education? The answer is no. In your examination, do you allow teamwork? No, because teamwork is called copying. While as industry works on teamwork, there is nothing called individual excellence. There is nobody number one in industry. Everybody has to work in teams. And these teams, if you are in IT companies, they are multilingual. And speaker after me will talk about Japan because he works in Japan. And I saw one company which is teaching foreign languages. I personally feel foreign languages must be made compulsory in higher education. And I am a big fan of Japan because that is a land of opportunity. We need to look eastwards. So if you want to enhance employability in 3 minutes, learn Japanese, teach them skills, let them spend at least 30% time in industries, through internships. And I request MCCI to come up with, like Harvard has case studies. We must have case studies which students should learn. And let Chamber come up with case studies which students should learn. And another problem is unless it is having link to credit points, neither teachers will take it seriously nor students. So somewhere credit points should be linked to what kind of work experience you have received. And this is where your Chandrakant Dada is coming after 2 hours. So you please ensure that they get enrollment in time. Because I was shocked to know that Master of Computer Application and Engineering college has not yet started. Are you aware? If we are already in the month of November, I remember I started my engineering college on 1st of July. So rain and engineering college used to come together. Now snow and engineering college come together. ये चलने वाला नहीं है boss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deepak. Yes, Sunil, please.
So thanks a lot. This is my first time. My name is Sunil Kulkarni. I represent Fidel Softech. And we work in an area of LangTech, languages and technology. So we see a lot of convergence in these two areas. I both concur with Dinanath San and Deepak San's talk. At the same time, we understand from the industry side that academics has its own way. It cannot be changed immediately. I just want to make sure that that we need to create awareness about new roles that are coming in the industry. So for example, now with the advent of social media, chatbots, what we are seeing is today we are working with, say, Amazon to ensure that Alexa understands Marathi or Telugu. Now this creates, there is a new role called data collection, data enrichment, transcription annotation, and QA testing. Again, here sometimes we need pure linguists, pure technocrats, or a convergence of language and technology. This need not be just foreign languages. We require a lot of Indian languages as well, and so on. Extend this case to companies like Flipkart or Walmart or Amazon, who want to either come to India or who want to go global. Now Flipkart, we work with them to localize their, say, website in 6 languages or 10 languages. Here again, it's not about just translation. So when I go to the website and I am just, because these companies are now targeting say tier 2, tier 3 cities, where the person is searching for palak on website, but spinach should get seen. So how to ensure that this conversion from palak to spinach is handled behind the scenes for the user? So this could be a use case where again technology and linguistics, natural language programming again come in place. So what we are seeing is there are these new roles that are coming. Same way when we look at social media, there's a role called social media listener now, which again, when I was growing up, we knew just about engineering and doctor or legal. But this role again, for in digital marketing, companies have this, companies ask us to attend or engage a social media listener who is multilingual, because they want to ensure what's being talked about their brand across social media in local languages. So what we want to, from the industry side, it could be a business analyst, it could be a PMO role, it could be a linguist role. Some technology is needed, but these areas can be supplemented by languages, and across HR or across marketing, across sales or technology, these roles are needed. I come from Japan, I'm come from Pune, but I'm based out of Japan for the last 25 years. Japan needs, there's a demographic problem, aging society. They need a lot of technology. They have technology, but they lack in digital transformation, for example. Their growth is happening in, say, robotics, or less population means how it can be automated. So they'll see a lot of innovation happening there, but there's not much innovation happening on the banking side, for example, where India leads. So a lot of these areas are happening, and a little bit of investment in terms of language learning. It takes around 6 months to 1 year to pick up basic Japanese language, some language, and this technology investment, there could be more opportunities in Japan geography. Thanks a lot. There is a lot to be said, but I think I'll cover so.
I have one question to you, Sunil. You said that palak will become spinach.
Deepak, after 10 seconds. Thank you. So Sunil-san, I'll also get on to addressing the same manner. We'll get to Deepak's question for sure, but we'll get to the audience question first. Yeah. A couple of questions. First, I'll read a question from Mr. Anand Chodia. I see penetration of EdTech getting deeper. I am seeing automation and robotics playing a bigger role in MSMEs as the solutions are trying cheaper. Solutions should be cheaper possibly. The question is, what skills are really needed by students, or what kind of programs are more futuristic? Any one of you could reflect, including Deepak and Dina.
So one of the key elements is that we have structured our education based on certain tracks, like it could be a mechanical engineer, or it could be an electrical engineer, or an IT engineer. But many of the problems that are there in industry require multi-skills. And I think education institutions should look at this interdisciplinary aspect of it in a much more effective manner. I've seen that happen in some of the colleges. We actually created one lab model, which is for agri-tech. And that's like a confluence of multiple industries, multiple streams coming together. Even in College of Engineering, Pune, and some of the others, I have seen mechanical engineers working in electronics labs or in electrical engineering labs to understand some of these things. So I think that multidisciplinary aspect is very important. The other aspect which is also required is we strongly feel that we, especially in the engineering sector, we focus a lot on training people, what we call as left brain engineers. And as Dr. Mashelkar says, that we need full brain engineers. And many of the engineering kids have tremendous amount of creative skills, but somehow that is not brought into the mainstream. We always say that extracurricular activity. I think it is more important to look at making those as co-curricular activities and move from just STEM education to STEAM education, where you bring in the art element into the education sector. So I feel that many of these aspects which are being talked about, be it automation, be it other things, that require a lot of skills which will be more design oriented, and creativity will be very crucial. So that's a couple of things which I thought I'll add.
Deepak?
I fully supplement what he said, but I would like to again come back to my project point, So I request you, Anand, you list out some domains and at least come up with 50 projects. which academic institutions can undertake, and that is how this gap can be reduced. So industry also has a big role to play, because this is not magic. There is no employability injection available. So it is easy to take COVID vaccine from serum, but there is no employability vaccine unless you take मेहनत करने के सिवाय कुछ नहीं होता.
Thank you, Dina. Your question now. You wanted to ask a question to Sunil.
I just want to add this point here. I think there's a lot of emphasis. Already we see a lot of technology-related training in colleges. My 2 cents would be, one, articulation and writing skills. Because many times what happens when the new graduate comes in, they are unable to put across what they want. Is it a question? Is it a statement? Meaning what they... So how to articulate themselves, and writing, it could be long mails, short mails, comments in a code, it could be anything. So this writing and articulation could help a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Please.
No, my question to you, Sunil, was Palak in Marathi also means parent. So when you mean spinach, this intelligence should be integral part of this. That Palak is spinach and not parent. Otherwise, gadbad ho jayega.
No, correct. And that's where many times people fear that machine translation or Google will replace a human being. And we try to tell them that's not going to happen, at least immediately. Of course, these engines are, but when the moment we say bank could be River Bank, I bank on you, Indian Bank. So there could be, so that intent is still not getting translated by these machines, and that's where human ingenuity and comes in place. So, rightly.
No, I would just like to add one point on Sunil's on Japan. So I've been working with a few of our Japanese customers, and we incidentally have our Japan delivery center in Pune. And I have had the opportunity to interact with quite a few Japanese senior execs. So they are coming to India and getting a feel of the talent pool which is there, and they are going and presenting to the Prime Minister, to the ministers on the potential that India has to solve Japan's skill problem. So I think if you look at such opportunities which are there, and if you actually then look at institutions creating delegations, going and creating collaborative initiatives, I think it will go a long way. And the visits that have happened to Pune of some of the Japanese ambassador or whoever, the Prime Minister and others, I think it is very important for us to keep a tab on not just Japan is just one example, but there could be other countries across the globe who could be looking at India as their talent base. And it's important that we start building up the connects, keeping that in mind as well.
Thank you, Dina. I think just because there is so much that got talked about Japan, just yesterday, where you are sitting, there was a session that was conducted in the afternoon by Ms. Borauke, if I'm not wrong, about how you would get ready to be employable in Japan. And those sessions would continue to happen just very much here. Coming back to, there are 2 more quick questions I'll take. One, possibly I'll answer it myself. The question is, what is the best way for academics and industry leaders to keep communicating to discuss what students should be groomed for? First step, you're already here. It's like looking in the map and where am I? Like, you're here. This is one step for sure that you interact. Some of these discussions should happen in the break. You could interact with each other and explore. I think we'll have to do a lot more of this. Academic institutions need to take initiative and organize these. Industries, to the extent that they can, need to invite the academic institution. I think this is the generic question and generic response to it. There's one question, please.
Most of the organizations do have an academic interface program. So TCS, for example, or you take Infosys, Cognizant, any of the top organizations, they have an outreach program. So just be aware of that. That is one. Second is there are a lot of online communities that have been created by the organizations or as part of, again, the social media communities that are there. So I think there is enough information today about who you can reach out and how you can actually navigate. That is one. On the other side, to ensure that the academicians participate, there are various events that organizations create. It could be very specific for a particular topic, or it could be a much broader topic as such. But I think there are enough and many such things. But this is good to see that MCCI has brought in this, because I think it's not only the large organizations, but there is also a large MSME segment, which is also looking for talent in a big way. I think they also have a very strong representation out here. And I think that could also be a channel for creating the new entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So I think that is another aspect to look at.
Thank you. Deepak, if this question you could reflect on, right? The question is currently many startups are focusing on bridging the skill gap. What do you think these startups should focus on?
So this is a question for college or for startup?
This question for startup looks like. The startup is asking, right, what should they focus on so that they can contribute in bridging the skill gap?
See, my question, advice to startup is you first focus on survival. Because 80% startups don't see beyond 365 days. So forget about other college. You first learn to survive, then we will talk about the other things. But to answer your question, EdTech is a very hot area. So education technologies many people are looking at. But I think again the same advice I will give them, you try to solve some problem. Don't talk about technology. But if you have a problem solving approach, then I think you will definitely survive.
Thank you.
Just to add to this, meaning I am assuming this startup helps or trains candidates and is providing to the industry. So today we see 2025, 27, there is a business trigger where SAP is trying to move from R3 to HANA, and there's a lot of migrations happening. So Japanese and SAP skills, if these are taught to some engineer and those kind of engineers come to say companies like TCS or us or any such companies, there could be a huge opportunity out there. Likewise, there could be, of course, you can approach any industry, and there are so many requirements out there. Yeah, thanks.
So very interesting. I'll pick up on the point that Sunil mentioned about skills which are required to communicate. And even if you are a startup, you need to raise funds, you need to pitch and things like that. So you need a lot of good skills. One startup picked up this particular topic and have created an offering called Bindas Bowl. And it's targeted towards kids who are shy and who are not able to communicate very well. And their objective is not just about spoken English or written English, but conversational English.
Very good, yeah.
And we had run a very interesting program which was more to look at ideation related to waste management. And one difference which I noticed was many of the kids who are coming up with great ideas were not able to communicate very well. And we initiated through IEEE to partner along with Bindas Bowl, and we are actually doing a pilot at AISSMS, and it was good to see that AISSMS is one of your partners over here and sponsors. So I think they have taken the lead and anchored it, but there could be more such opportunities. And almost about 50% of the kids that we see are coming from rural background and may not have that confidence. So they are solving very clearly a problem which is quite rampant across the education ecosystem, and they are looking at that as an opportunity to partner with academia and industry.
Thank you. The last question to each one of you, if there is anything else that you think you must communicate to this audience at this stage, so there is no question now, essentially. If there is anything that you would like to communicate, now is the time. A minute each for each one of you so that we could conclude there after the session. Any one of you.
So my request to all of you is don't look at industry academia interaction like Diwali, which happens only 4 days in a year. Industry academia interaction should be throughout. And if you consider this as an integral part of your academic delivery, then things will happen.
Thanks.
I think there is this concept of shadowing where you actually shadow an individual entire day and see what that person does. As in, internships or hands-on or these kind of projects from third year onwards, especially if it's engineering, or and those kind of scenarios connecting to employment later could be more helpful. It helps us also to understand what's happening on the academic side. And it's more like saying work-life balance. I think that's gone now. You have to be integrated. That's where I think industry and academics play together. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I will look at a little bit ahead, and I would say that research in academic setup is very, very crucial. And I think that it is very important for the academicians to start looking at specific research programs. There is tremendous amount of areas where you can focus on in research. The Indian government, with the focus on Make in India and various other initiatives, there are also research programs where you can actually look at focusing on. And that would definitely help build the future of India, because it's not about just manufacturing and replicating what is happening in the rest of the world, but also looking at creating solutions and products which are required for Indians, and with whatever are the best sustainable model of creating those products in India. I think that will be very crucial. So looking at that as a research area, and then also The other area we should really look at is as our population grows, the demand from the population will also grow. There is a significant amount of crisis that we are faced with, either a climate crisis or various other issues that cities face. I feel that the academic institutions can start looking at these problems because they are very close. They are here and now. You can actually work on them and also anticipate. I saw a very nice report from World Economic Forum which said that in the top 10 megacities, Pune, Ahmedabad and Surat will be among the 10 which will be there. And it's important for us to look at, can academics set up focus on research which could help solve some of the problems that we could face when we become a megacity.
Thank you so much, Dina. A huge round of applause to all three of them. Thank you. Another example of what we could produce in about 21, 22 minutes. So much of content, so much to take home.
Thank you. I now request Mr. Deepak Karandikar, President MCCI, to felicitate the guests.
I'll stand. Let's stand for a photograph. Stand for a photograph. Thank you. Thanks.
Very good concept. Short and sweet.
Thank you. Thanks, Dina. Thanks. Thank you, Sunil San. Thank you so much.
Our next panel is from the automotive sector. I request Mr. Jiten Divki Torque Transfer Systems Private Limited, Mr. Rajiv Panse, Autocomp Corporation Panse Private Limited, and Ms. Supriya Badwe from Badwe Engineering Limited to please come on the stage.
Please come. Please come. Waiting for Rajiv. So we'll continue with three of us. Yeah, that's okay. Please. As I said, we'll continue to respect the time of 118 people in the audience, and hence we'll continue the session. Rajiv ji would come. When he comes, he'll join. So as I said, there is no penalty for claps, na? Thank you so much. It just makes you feel good also. You also get to, wake up and all of that. So it's helpful. Thank you so much for coming, and the question remains the same, so I'll not repeat now because the audience is bored and you already know it. So I'll not repeat the question. I'll request you to first introduce in line or two about what your firm does, so that while I know, the audience gets to know. And if you could just address the question, I'll be thankful. Please.
Thank you, Prashant. My name is Jitendra Divgi, and I'm the managing director and CEO at an old Pune-based firm called Divgi Torque Transfer Systems. And to put it in a sentence, we make unique, highly engineered transmission systems for the automotive industry. To address this question, I think the previous panel kind of took away a lot of the thunder that I think the following speakers could make. But I'm just going to give you a different perspective of some of what I think are the hot buttons. But before I start, I just want to make a remark or two that Pune has a very, very inspiring history of innovativeness in sort of reaching out to academia globally in figuring out how to solve economic problems. And I'll just say that back in the 1880s, Bal Gangadhar Tilak experimented by sending a student from Pune to MIT to study chemical engineering of that time. So that is the kind of heritage we are blessed with, and I think we need to draw inspiration
Please come take a seat.
from that in now reinventing ourselves. Coming to the subject at hand, I just have 5 quick bullet points, and I can give clarifications in the subsequent question and answer session. So first, I think we need, which I think Mr. Kolkar from TCS alluded to, which was to have, of course, focus on fundamentals, but also have a more broad-based education. And in that connection, I would submit that we need a good infusion of the humanities. You know, we don't want monochromatic mindsets to be coming from our educational institutions. If India is to assert its leadership on the global stage, we need people truly with a high level of scholarship and intellectuality to be asserting our point of view in global markets and helping us build our brand. Secondly, in addition to humanities, I would say to the broad-based, is that we should infuse a little bit of economic theory and finance. In the kind of world that we live in, where India has now capital markets that are rife, to have our young people without any understanding of engineering, economics, and finance is a serious handicap with which we are sending them out into the economic battlefield, if I may say so. Next, I would say, and this was alluded to by a couple of the speakers from the previous panel, is we need people who have very high standards of verbal ability in being able to express themselves, especially in writing skills. You know, young people are often analysts, analyzing data, immersing themselves into detail, and if they cannot express themselves properly, it is truly a serious handicap. And this particular thing needs to be addressed, I feel, with a great sense of urgency. Perhaps the problem is that the intake that we have does not adequately test for some of this verbal ability. Next, I would say, is that one of the needs of SMEs and medium-sized enterprises in which Pune abounds is the need for research and development. And we need to make a start rather than, you know, just lamely saying that, okay, this is the job of the big companies. I would submit to you that the opportunity for research and development in an organization, regardless of its size, is only bounded by our imagination. But if we have to create that ethos of R&D, it has to start at the educational institution level. And I think maybe it was Deepak Shikarpur who said problem solving and learning agility. This was another phrase that was used. I absolutely endorse that. And we need this kind of a culture set up in our educational institutions so that intellectual development is of a standard that is second to none in the world. And I'll conclude by saying that in this instance, the way to do it is for the leaders of academia to be more keen in the way they understand the needs of industry on an ongoing basis. And I think Deepak said it in his characteristic way by saying this is not a one-off kind of thing. We need continuous engagement, and I think forums such as this provide a fantastic opportunity, but it's, I think, our mutual obligation to pick up the thread from here and run with it as we go along to build these linkages and reinforce them and strengthen them. Thank you, Prashant.
No, thank you so much. Very well explained. Thank you. By the way, I said there is no penalty, but there is no force either. So half-hearted क्यों? जिसको बजाना है अब ताली बजाए, जिसको नहीं बजाना ना बजाए. ये half-hearted तो मुझे समझता ही नहीं है कि कोई force नहीं कर रहा है, कोई compel नहीं कर रहा है. जिसको ताली बजाना है वो बजाए, जिसको ना बजाना है ना बजाए. Anyway, we'll listen to Supriya ji.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks MCCI for conducting such a good session, for having this good topic for today's discussion. So I am Supriya Badwe. I am representing Badwe Engineering Limited. I am Executive Director of Badwe Engineering Group. We have 30 factories across Pan India. We have presence in 7 states and more kind of hybrid combination of business model where really people are needed for our all processes, all manual and of course robotic. Both things are required for our kind of industry. So coming to our this session for today, what I feel that first of all, this session, whatever we have listened is about IT, and we are discussing to now is about this automotive industry.
Absolutely. The whole idea is we have 3 panels.
Yeah.
One is on IT,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
automotive, and third other sectors.
Yeah. So, sir, but I just want to just start with that clue. So, where all these triggers? First, maybe because of COVID, we came up with new concept of work from home. And now, the new generation, they want this flexibility. They like this kind of concept for working from home. But when, as far as automotive industry we can't run any industry without presence of people in the industry. So first and foremost thing, when you are looking as your career in automotive sector or manufacturing industry, first one must understand that there is going to be a work where your presence is required there and there on the workstation. So that is first thing which is required as a mandatory condition for the automotive industry. Secondly, when a fresher generally enters in the organization, what happens? He has to be more responsible. See, when you are giving examination or you are studying, so whatever you are studying, the end result is only related to you, that specific student. Whatever the efforts he is going to put as for that exam, whatever the outcome will give the specific result for that particular student. He will get distinction or he will get topper or maybe whatever the result. But when you are entering some organization, you have to just first understand that you are a responsible person and you are a responsible part of a big organization. So whatever you are going to deliver or whatever you are going to not perform, that is ultimately will going to affect the performance of the organization. So that is real facts or experiences what we are understanding as on today or what we are facing. Just I want to express over here. Secondly, when you come and join some organization, first thing you also have to learn about effective communication. Suppose you are joining some organization and you are facing any problem after joining anything, maybe because of internal some miscommunication or anything, and you are doubts about any HR practices or any health issues. If you are taking, say example, someone is taking leave, and without informing anyone to his immediate boss or whoever you are supposed to report, if you are taking leave without considering the situation at the workstation and you are just keeping your mobile off, what will going to happen? So these are the practical problems one must understand when you join the organization. So effective communication, both way, you have to be very effective in your communication. Whatever your problems, you should reach to your the proper department, HR department or your immediate bosses, and you must understand how to solve your problems. So being a problem solver, you have to understand whatever, secondly means like what we have taken is, one is the administrative problem. Second is related to your problem related to your day-to-day performance. For that day-to-day performance, if you are stuck up with any problem, say again here the effective communication plays a bigger role. You have to escalate that problem to next level. Because see, we have in automotive industry or on any organization, there is proper organization structure plays a bigger role. And if at all the problem are not getting solved inside, industries are very ready to take help from outside also. Sure. So we have many startups are coming, various digital platforms are coming. So very good consultants or like MCCI, which is a very good, playing a great role for bringing this economic growth of the country. Those kind of bodies are available in the in country who are ready to help. But until and unless that problem is not defined properly, one will not be able to find any solution to this problem. So this is what I feel. So effective communication plays a very bigger role. Responsibility. Then we must understand there are certain set of skills are required for any particular position in the organization. And just here, Digvijji mentioned about this analytical ability. So yes, analytical ability plays a bigger role in the organization, because we all know for every industry, data is oil. So whatever the real-time data we can just collect, and how we can analyze it and what solutions we can suggest, that all depends upon the success, that all contributes to the success of the organization. So it's all about teamwork, discipline, effective communication, skills, and most important what I feel is about your learning aptitude. As I came from a family where my father was principal of government college, my mother was lecturer. So learning aptitude plays a very bigger role as for me. So I think a student or whoever is person, I think he must be lifelong student and he should learn. And that's where whole the development of a person in his personal goals or a personal life and even in his career happens. So this all is a combination of lot many things which contributes to the success. And then we see that whoever is looking at their career in such way, accepting all business ecosystem, they have better prospects in the industry. That is what I feel. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Rajiv ji, just to give a backdrop of the discussion, we're trying to do about 6-7 sessions, possibly about 21 speakers to communicate, just answer this one question. And the one question is, what is it that the academic institution should do to increase the employability of the students passing out of their campus? So we have about 3 minutes each one of us so that we get a lot many more speakers. Over to you, sir.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, MCCIA. Many of you are acquaintances, friends, well-wishers. So I am Rajiv Panse. We are in automotive component industry. We got around 12 plants in India. We also have overseas footprint. And we differentiate by being in design and engineering of products as well, other than what we do, that is auto parts and assemblies and things like that. So I'll be very brief, and I'll try to be focused also, which I always like to be. Well, I think I'll come with a simple point: what industry needs, what accommodation they offer, and where is the gap, and what all we need to do. Simple. So I think what industry needs is that industry is always needy. Industry always wants ready material. Industry is not ready to wait. Industry is always hungry, and industry doesn't have, the kind of paternal mentoring approach to anybody who comes in there. So this is a hard reality of industry. Well, we all have been engineers, like you have been also been a student. I have studied in the eminent College of Engineering here in Pune. I also have been in IMDR for a while I did my stint in Tata Motors as a trainee. So I think the industry has changed a lot. And I think the institutions also have changed or should change a lot. The first is that we in industry want the students who come out, we don't want them to be only digitization or digitalization masters. We want them to have a lot of practical experience. We want them to have the 360-degree skills of managing a portfolio completely. We don't expect them to be subject matter experts from day one, but we expect them to be managing a situation very well at the whatever little field they control. And that is what institution should develop a student. So I think this holds good for the general disciplines of, operations, production. This probably doesn't hold good for a typical design engineer in that sense. But when there's people with little experience, we have got two experiences. People from good institutes having reasonably good experience on design engineering, they are fixated on a particular mindset. They're not ready to change to the requirement of the industry. And then they simply become irrelevant slowly. So it's very important for them to first understand, and institutes should imbibe on their mind how they should really transform themselves into the industrial mindset. So I'm suggesting here that if there is something, a concept, Jiten, something like a finishing school, if at all we together could have, the industry as well as the institute, that could be of great help. Because nobody is a ready material when you go into the market. And there we can be of some help, together we can play some role. And it will be good for the students and for the industry also. Point number one. Point number two, we want the institutes to imbibe on the minds of the students that when they talk about, for example, suppose in mechanical engineering you talk about moment of inertia, you talk about, for example, dynamic load, static load, things like that. They should once in a while go to the plant, shop floor and see what does that really means and how does it really affect. Third important is that while in institute, they should also develop a culture of cost, which is missing in probably in our academics largely. So these are the things which will differentiate the input which comes to industry. If anything, any more value I can add, I'll be very happy.
Thank you so much.
And anybody of you are welcome to us anytime.
Wow, thank you. I think that I'm sure as academic institutions you would note that some of the industrialists, some of the businesses sitting here have from this platform communicated to you that you're most welcome to kind of visit them. I think what better job can in Mr. Bhargava's language Bhatji or platform do, right? Thank you. So we got a couple of questions, but they are relevant to the next panel. So I'm going to skip them for this one here. If there is any one-liner that you have and that you must communicate, now is the time. Thereafter, we'll conclude the session and we'll move to the next session. If there is any one-liner that you have to communicate to the audience, please.
Yeah.
If there is one, yeah.
In terms of a wrap-up remark, I would suggest that it's long overdue that educational institutions figure out how to, on a continuing basis, sell their value proposition to industry, whether it's through fora like this or one-on-one once those linkages have been made. And for that to happen, I think it's important that both industry and academia invest in building that relationship. One last sort of remark I'll conclude on is that, and as a takeaway for academia in Pune, our immediate vicinity, is that the SME sector really needs help in terms of research and development. Gone are the days when you could sort of sweat something for a long time. We need to continuously reinvent ourselves. And that can happen only through deep immersion and thought. And without the help of academia, I submit to you that that is not possible now.
No, appreciate it. Thank you. If there's any one-liner that you could take.
I just want to share one thing that MCCI, academic institutions and industry should form one platform and they should meet frequently, maybe every month. Yes.
The chamber has a committee for higher education and skilling. I'll request anyone who is interested to connect because they do meet very regularly and they could take forward. But thank you so much for a brilliant session. Many, many thanks and thank you so much for listening to that. After this session, we'll have one more session, panel discussion with industry. Then we'll have nice tea break for networking. We'll come back for two final sessions. There will be a session with academic institution उन्होंने इतना सारा सुन लिया तो उनका भी सुनना जरूरी है कि उन्हें क्या कहना है. And then we would have Honorable Minister who would be addressing all of us also.
Thank you. I once again request Mr. Deepak Karandikar to felicitate the guests.
Don't do- I'll stand. We'll have to do this one. Please, please. Thank you. For the camera? Yes. Whichever, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please come, please. Many thanks, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Many thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Please. True. Absolutely. Absolutely. My colleague Geeta.
For our
will
next
definitely-
panel,
Pakka. Thank you, sir.
I invite Mr. Anand Chodia from Suhana Masala, Mr. Vimal Verma, JW Marriott, Mr. Bharat Gite from Toral India Private Limited, Mr. Shantanu Dalal, social media influencer, and Ms. Shilpa Pofre from Electronica Finance Limited. Thank you.
Please come. Please sit. Thank you. I think I'll not need this because I've been sitting for too long, so my colleagues ensure that I get to stand for this session. Thank you. I'm looking at time and there are 4 or 5 of us here. I'm very keen to listen to each one of you. You know what, I genuinely am guilty of rushing some of these sessions. I know each one of them can hold the fort for a couple of hours with very, very good content. But the constraint of the format of trying to get 21 experts to speak in a day has made me do what I'm doing. I'm not doing it willingly. As long as we accept that, we could get going with it. Thank you. So, we start with a round of applause, isn't it? Thank you. So the question is the same, but I'll repeat this time and I'll time it so that we get to do it in 2.5 minutes and we could get to come to the second round. I'll request each one of you to introduce yourself very quickly and then get to answering the question. The question is, what is it that the academic institutions can do to increase employability of their students in organizations like yours or other organizations that you know of, right? So we'll start. Any one of you could start because eventually I'll be going to each one of you. So please, there are those 2 mics and you could pass on to each other.
Hi, myself Anand Chodia, Director Technology and Innovation, Suhana Spices, Praveen Masalewale. We are
Anandji,
third
my
generation.
apology, just 1 second. I'm requesting my colleagues, if you can reduce the noise levels. If you cannot, we will close the entire exhibition till the panel discussion is complete. Because I think it's a good idea to take some good decisions well in time. If we are not able to keep down the noise levels, we will shut down the entire exhibition area till the panel discussions are complete. Thank you so much for your understanding. Many, many thanks. Anandji.
Yeah, and I have started a foundation working on sustainability, circular economy, waste management called the Eco Factory Foundation. And I'm a passionate, most important, I'm a passionate organic farmer. I had some time and I knew the question. So I have the answer ready in less than 2 minutes. I'm going to share that. I think I want the students from any faculty, IT, automobile, agri, food, wherever they are, to have few things which I want to just mention here as their quality and skills in them. One very important thing, as an entrepreneur, we are all the time taking some sort of risks, bigger or smaller. and we don't mind sharing the same pressure with our colleagues. Nowadays, industries look at recruits as their colleagues and a journey they travel together. So ability to take risk is something which is really important. Students should inculcate in them. Vision, if you see, entrepreneurship is always about visioning something beyond time and having a gut feeling that what tomorrow will be like. And if it's echoed, or in same way if it is expressed by the new generation, and we do look at the younger generation to be more current and more futuristic than the older one. So we rather seek that support from them. We as an organization definitely allow to make quicker and cheaper mistakes. So I personally feel that the culture of making quicker and cheaper mistake is absolutely fine as long as the learning process is on. Many times students or the new recruits won't take decisions because they are afraid of failing, and that is something as institute needs to be taken care of. Vocational skills like a plan B, because many times some jobs suddenly become irrelevant because of some technological intervention, and that time industry is also clueless what to do with the manpower we have because it's a cost to the industry. But if there are vocational skills, the utilization of the same individual can be more practical and positive. And very important is the concept of healthy jugaad. I think Indian industries have that in their DNA, and I always would say the jugaad needs to be healthy, and students need to figure out how to fit in the jugaad box correctly. Very important, mentioned earlier, etiquettes, not only writing but spoken, body language, very important at times of crucial meetings and negotiations. Lot of business turnarounds are around negotiations, and slowly, eventually, management students will move on with these skills to become from a technical job to a managerial job. When you are moving to that, or when you want to move to that that ladder quickly, these are the skills very important, because negotiations are turning points for businesses. Inner motivation, and I interact with lot of students. So far more than 5,000 students I must have interacted, and I sometimes see there is a lack of purpose which I see in them. There is no direction or what they want to do. The energy, the basic energy which I have seen probably in earlier generations or my grandfather, I want to see the same urge and energy and inspiration in her to grow. That itself drives them to whatsoever level they can take. How institutes can make it happen? Even I have a question, and I will like to understand when institutes are here, that how we can build that energy in them. Choosing right field, long-term thinking, planning sometimes is important. Like they are clueless, sometimes they hop and hop off from one industry to other. That spoils the CV sometime, and the long-term vision gets spoiled. So bring some maturity, guide them and counsel them. That thing needs to be with them. Most important to me is accepting failures happily. That's my one-liner. It's fine to fail. I think that attitude needs to be built with students by institutes. They get stressed. They get helpless with smallest of the failures. I don't think that was the case earlier. The thinking, mental strength, capabilities needs to be built. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anandji. Thank you so much. It does, these vibrations of claps, right, does something good to the entire hall, trust me. Any one of you, yeah? Please, Shilpa ji.
Good afternoon. I'm Shilpa Pofle in Electronica Finance Limited. We are into financial services, but predominantly for over last 30 years, we have been serving manufacturing industry across India. In addition to that, recently for last 4 to 5 years, we have also been into semi-rural geographies. So I would like to just quickly summarize what I'm thinking about, what academia can do for the financial services industry overall, and some thoughts about manufacturing industry, because that is what we have been operating in for a very long time. So in terms of financial services, the industry is actually in a huge, I'll say, upswing. We need huge number of people, and the obvious question is, where do we get those people? Because we try to employ directly from colleges, and we get the trainees in, but we many times see that they are not ready for the jobs. And I think in the earlier panel there was a discussion about finishing school. I think Mr. Panse suggested that, and that is a fantastic idea. And those finishing schools can be very short duration schools also. Means it can be maybe even a 1 month or 2 month schools. So I was chatting with one of my friend into career counseling, and I told him very frankly that we really don't need graduates also. So why do we need graduates? If we have undergrads and we can train them very quickly, very fast, say maybe in say couple of months, and they can be ready for frontline positions, and that is definitely possible. So as an industry, we can definitely do something about it, because financial services industry needs people on the field, on the ground, and in huge numbers. Because we are in rural areas also, the number of people which we need is it is very, very substantial. So that is one. Another aspect of it is around the mindset of the people. I think Anand mentioned about that. So it is about also the people whom we are getting in. So people should at least have openness for experience, I'll say. And because there is a huge demand for the people who can take the industry to the next level. So I'm talking about manufacturing industry also. We are serving MSMEs. So many of our customers, they have mentioned to us clearly that get me a good manager and I will be able to double my business. And I've heard this sentiment multiple times. So they don't have people, and that is why there is a clear restriction to their growth. So people with an entrepreneur kind of mindset, I don't know how to create that, but if we can work on that openness aspect of it, where innovation also is of course embedded into that innovation, and also that openness to experience, where people will be able to take the industry forward. I'm firm believer of concept of first who then what. So first select good people and they will decide where the business should go. And if we really work on that, and we work with the academic institutions on that, I think the huge demand for people which we have can be fulfilled. Last but not the least, what we are seeing in young generation, the people who are graduating right now, is, and that is a problem for us, I think that is the problem for all the industries across, is a lack of patience. So lack of patience, I'll mention, just means people, for a meaningful contribution, you should stick to that particular job, that particular role for at least a couple of years. Because unless you learn the basic skills or learn the basic nitty-gritties of that business, you are not in a position to contribute to that business meaningfully. So that patience is not in existence right now. So how do we teach the students to at least have that perseverance, that maybe some level of patience, where you stick to that particular role for some time, learn it first, and then contribute and then deliver. So I think those are the points which are on the top of my mind. And on finishing schools, if MCCI develops something, we will definitely be very much interested into working along with the academia on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Prashant. I am Vimal Verma. I'm the General Manager of JW Marriott Hotel in Pune. Our industry is purely travel and trade, and of course, hospitality is a core part of it. Now, academia plays a very important role, especially for hotels, luxury hotels, all the more to say. A couple of things to keep it brief. Number one, I think as institutes, it's very fundamentally important to have a lot of interface with the existing reality in the hotels. We are perceived as a glamorous industry because everybody sees only one side of the coin onto the hotels. There should be a lot of encouragement of industry people coming as a regular mandatory course We only get called as industry people either at the time of convocations or probably once a month or maybe once in 2 months as a guest lectures, so that we could share what's the reality behind. I think this should become very frequent. It should be a subject almost one a day, if possible, that if that's too much to ask, mandatory 2 a week, because the reality of what you study in about hospitality, but what's there, it's very different. And trust me, it's more interesting. It's very encouraging. As of today, for sure, I can tell you the industry changed quite a lot. It's a lot about the understanding of practical part of the world versus what we get to learn over there. So I think course modification with students really getting to talk to the people and people who are in their own industry itself is very, very fundamentally important. Second, I would say that the industry that we are a part of it, especially the one that I'm in, travel is the biggest asset that you can talk about. I interview a lot of students when I go for recruitment, and I ask them, do you know about your own city first? Fundamental question. You'll be surprised, 95% of them, they don't know beyond 2-3 things that they've probably been there. Out of the rest 5, I subsect that 50% have not visited those cities, those locations. We proudly talk about it. Let's look at the Western world as a reference. They spend a lot on travel. They know their city first, then they start knowing the country, and eventually when they go anywhere, they talk very proudly about it. Travel should be a fundamental mandatory course. And in India, travel is very, very economical. You could literally go from north to south, east to west in the easiest possible format. But first is know your own city. I think let's make that as a course. Let's really go there. Let's make sure students know where they live in, whether they come to study. You'll be surprised. People don't know where is National Defense Academy. You'll be surprised people don't know the history of Shaniwar Wada. Now, how would you deal with this reality when the international person or even the local customer comes to you? Because someone comes from Jharkhand to stay at my hotel, I would love to show him the city, right? It's boosted tourism. So that reality interface of travel, instead of having a cross course of sending 6 months to one university in Wales where you have a tie-up, versus spending those 6 months only in travel within the country, I fundamentally feel that would really bring a lot of knowledge and interface to the students. Of course, one final point that I had was that we're a lot driven on soft skills, so communication and soft skills do become very important. So this is not a subject anywhere. I think this is a lot to do with that you could bring in as an interface. While I have mentioned 3 points on the academia part, one more fundamental becomes on the industry part, which I would want to make sure that we talk about is, we need to also take responsibility for making sure that if we do CSR activities about sustainability, climate control, glass bottles, all of that, I think there should be some part of us spending times in institutes, really going there and making that as an individual practice as well. Oh, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. This is Bharat Gite. I'm working as a CEO and Managing Director of a company called Taural India. It's a joint venture partnership between world-leading aluminum casting company Tony Alutek and myself. First of all, I must congratulate MCCI and organizer that to bring this topic to the people, because I have seen it in Germany when it happens every day, because the chief of every institute in the university comes from a industry background, minimum 15 years experience. So you can imagine every day industry meets academia in such universities. Second thing, beyond that, I must congratulate that they are having the program like the formation of CV, which is going in the other area of the building, which is very much needed for the student to get ready for the industry. Now, coming back to our point, undoubtedly every one of us will agree that the India's growth story is promising and very strong in coming years. You take an example of the probable recession, global recession coming up, then Russia-Ukraine war, and then you can take an example of loss of trust with China, energy crisis in Europe. These all topics make it India a preferable location for the globe. But we have also challenges. Unskilled and unemployable workforce bring this growth very slow, because we are not ready for the skill which will be thrown on us by the industry and by the globe. A recent study shows that 33% of the youth will remain unemployable because of the lack of future skills as well as the practical industrial experiences and knowledge. Now, how to go around it? I have a 3 solution as a steps. One is future ready, the second one is the job ready, and the third one is the curriculum or center of excellence. The first one, getting for the or becoming future ready is essential in today's competitive world. There is a shared responsibility amongst us as a industry, educational institute, and student to come together and get ready for the future. So not only the talk, but there should be a definitive plan, as well as the increase the collaboration will make it reality. The second one, getting ready for the jobs. Exposure to the industry will make our student job ready. This could be in a form of internship, then research-based projects, motivational and mentoring sessions by the industry expert, instructor, as MCCI is doing today. Maybe the students are missing, but the educational institutes are here, so they can pass on this message to the students. The third thing is curriculum. Today's education must be a combination of technical, non-technical, and real-life skills. Real-life skills means communication skill. Earlier panel has talked about the language fluency, be it spoken or written. I know I represent COEP as a president of Alumni Association of such a great institute, College of Engineering, Pune. And as you know, getting the admission in COEP itself is like once you get admission, you can say that you are a leader, future leader. But the thing is, these students, they are intelligent, they are brilliant, they study hard, but the problem is we have seen some of the students, they don't know how to speak also. Now you can just imagine how they will be ready for the industry. So the communication skill is important, leadership, entrepreneurship skill, teamwork. Some of the people, Badwe engineering people, Ms. Supriya has talked about it, teamwork. So all these things are also needed to be ready for the future. So the academic institute can do this change, and I'm sure as an industry, as I belong to the engineering manufacturing sector, industry need to come together with the academic institute to form the center of excellence. So now this can be designed in a way that students get practical experiences with the real time or real life impact and applications from the industry. So this way we can surely make the change to get ready for the industrial needs and industrial challenges. Thank you very much.
Hello.
My apologies. If you could just give 1 second, Shantanu. There is a news. I don't know if you all can confirm it, because there is a danger of sharing such news also. But I'm giving reference to the media for the news. Indian Express, NDTV, and Mint have shared that unfortunately, veteran actor Vikram Gokhleji has passed away. This is reference of the news, and I wouldn't know myself anything directly. And I also heard from very senior people just now that's what they also heard, and hence they are headed to Balgandharva for that. We'll continue the program. There will be tiny change in it if you all agree with it. Once I have the reconfirmed news, then we'll pay respect to him. We'll wait until then so that we do not jump the gun. But the tiny change, if you all agree with me, is after this session immediately, we will continue the sessions. We will take the session of the academia. And Honorable Minister said he'll still come straight here so that he can, because he has given the commitment, he can conclude this and go and pay the respects. So that's what I heard from his office. So if it's okay with all of you, is that all right? Then we'll continue this. If anyone needs to take quick bio break, tea break, please feel free to get up, take that, come back, and we'll continue the sessions. Apologies. But thank you, Shantanu, and it's very interesting. Each one of you are experts in your own world. I know, I'm coming to, it's an introductory part. What's interesting about Shantanu is if you go on to any social media handles, every day you'd hear a couple of people saying, it's only thanks to your guidance that I got a job in the industry, right? So it's very interesting to hear from Shantanu. He has come all the way specifically from Mumbai to just talk to us about this. Unfortunately, the format remains the same, and hence the 3-4 minutes. But the reason I'm saying all of this is during the breaks or afterwards, you're able to connect with him. There is so much more that Shantanu has to share, like all others. Over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, MCCI, for giving this opportunity. मी आज तुम्हाला मराठीत बोलणार आहे.
Absolutely fine. Marathi, Hindi, English, absolutely fine. Whatever you're comfortable.
इंग्रजीत थोडं सगळं सकाळपासून चालूच आहे. थोडं आपल्या मायबोलीमध्ये थोडं म्हणलं बोलूया. माझं नाव शंतनू आहे. मी कॅपजेमिनी या कंपनीमध्ये ॲज अ लिनक्स इंजिनियर म्हणून काम करतो. मी सोशल मीडिया इन्फ्लुएन्सर पण आहे. मी सोशल मीडियावर ट्विटर आणि इतर लिंक्डइन ह्यावर करिअर रिलेटेड लोकांना मदत करतो. म्हणजे जे काही जॉब सिकर्स आहेत त्यांना जॉब मिळवण्यासाठी हेल्प करतो. मी कोणाला रेफरन्स देत नाही, पण एक जस्ट पाथ सांगतो की तुम्ही कोणत्या डायरेक्शननी तुम्ही तुमचा जॉब सर्च करू शकता तुमच्या फील्डमध्ये. आता सध्या इथे भरपूर लोक आहेत, म्हणजे अशा भरपूर कंपन्यांचे HR सुद्धा आहेत ज्या कंपन्यांमध्ये मी रिजेक्ट झालेलो होतो, आणि आज त्यांच्यासमोर मी बोलतोय इथे. मलाच याचं आश्चर्य वाटतंय, कारण मी जेव्हा म्हणजे हे अशक्य आहे, कारण जेव्हा माझ्यामध्ये मी स्वतः बदल करतोय, सेल्फ लर्निंग. आता इथे सगळेजण सांगतात स्किल डेव्हलपमेंट आणि सगळ्या गोष्टी, पण ह्या प्रॅक्टिकली जेव्हा कॉलेजेसमध्ये सगळेजण म्हणतात मोस्टली थेरॉटिकल पार्टवर भर दिला जातो. थेरॉटिकलवर भर न देता 70% तुम्ही म्हणता की थेरॉटिकल 30% प्रॅक्टिकल, पण ॲक्च्युअलमध्ये तो पार्ट अंमलातच येत नाही. ऑलमोस्ट 90% थेरॉटिकल पार्ट येतो, 5 to 10% प्रॅक्टिकल पार्ट येतो. सध्या इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये किंवा ज्या काही सध्याच्या ज्या फील्ड आहेत तिथे प्रॅक्टिकल नॉलेज महत्त्वाचं आहे. आपल्या रुरल जे काही गाव खेड्यांमध्ये जे मुलं आहेत त्यांच्याकडं प्रॅक्टिकल नॉलेजचा खूप अभाव मिळतो. टॅलेंट चांगलं असतं, काम करण्याची जिद्द असते, पण प्रॅक्टिकल नॉलेजमुळे त्यांचं कमी पडतात ते. इथे एक तर सेल्फ लर्निंग जिथे कमी पडतं आहे, एक तर सेल्फ लर्निंगवर जास्त भर दिलं पाहिजे. सगळ्यात गोष्टी कॉलेजेस किंवा गव्हर्नमेंट्स यांच्यावर आपण डिपेंड न राहता आपल्याला ग्रो करायचं आहे, आपल्याला पुढे जायचं आहे, तर आपण स्वतः सेल्फ लर्न केलं पाहिजे. आपल्या डेव्हलपमेंटसाठी आपण पुढे काय गोष्टी शिकायला हव्यात. यूट्यूब आहे, गुगल आहे, लिंक्डइन, रेडिट, मीडियम, असे कितीतरी मीडियम आहेत की ज्या ठिकाणी तुम्ही सेल्फ लर्न करू शकता. तुमचे जे काही थॉट्स आहेत ते प्रेझेंट करू शकतात. गिटअप, IT मध्ये जे कोडिंग करतात त्यांना तर हे माहितीच आहे की इथे सगळ्यात जास्त प्रोजेक्ट हे गिट आणि गिटअपवर प्रेझेंटेड आहेत सध्या. तुम्ही तिथे इनपुट देऊ शकता. कितीतरी अशा कम्युनिटी आहेत, लँग्वेजेस रिलेटेड आहेत, फिनटेक रिलेटेड आहेत, टेक्निकल्स IT रिलेटेड आहेत. अशा कम्युनिटीमध्ये तुमचं इनपुट्स देणं खूप महत्त्वाचं आहे. कारण जेव्हा तुम्ही तिथे त्या ठिकाणी इनपुट्स देतात, भरपूर मेकॅनिकलच्या सुद्धा ह्या आहेत कम्युनिटी आहेत, त्या कम्युनिटीमध्ये इनपुट्स तुमचे थॉट्स किंवा तुमच्याकडे असणारं जे नॉलेज आहे तुम्ही शेअर करता आलं पाहिजे. नॉलेज किंवा ज्ञान जे वाढतं ना, म्हणजे माझे आईवडील मला सांगतात की ते वाटण्याने वाढतं, ते जवळ ठेवून नाही वाढणार. तुम्ही जेवढं वाटणार किंवा जेवढं तुम्ही सांगणार तेवढं तुम्ही ब्रशअप होणार आणि समोरच्याला पण ते नवीन काहीतरी आहे ते कळणार. माझं इथे येण्याचं आज एवढंच एक प्रयोजन होतं की मला या सगळ्या लोकांकडून, या मोठ्या लोकांकडून मला आज नवीन काहीतरी शिकायला मिळणार होतं. हा मेन म्हणजे मी कल्पना सुद्धा केली नव्हती की मला इथे येण्याची संधी मिळेल कधी काही. हा एक आणि सोशल मीडिया हा यूज करायचा कशासाठी तर नाही की पॉलिटिक्स, ट्रोलिंग्स ह्या गोष्टींसाठी नाही, तर जगामध्ये अशा कितीतरी गोष्टी सध्या घडतात की ज्या शिकण्यासाठी आणि ते इम्प्लिमेंट आपल्या भारतामध्ये, आपल्या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये करण्यासाठी आहे. सोशल मीडिया हा असा एक प्लॅटफॉर्म आहे की जो माणसाची प्रगती घडवण्यासाठी बनवलेला एक प्लॅटफॉर्म आहे, पण त्याचा आजच्या काळामध्ये उपयोग जर पाहायला गेला तर तो खूप वेगळ्या पद्धतीने चालू आहे सध्या. लिंक्डइन हा एक असा सोशल मीडिया आहे कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टरमध्ये, जे कोणी आता सध्या नवीन आहेत किंवा जे जुने आहेत ते तर आहेतच तिथे, पण लिंक्डइन हा एक असा प्लॅटफॉर्म आहे की ज्या ठिकाणी तुम्ही आज वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचा कंटेंट क्रिएट करून तुम्ही पुढे ग्रो करू शकता. तुमच्याकडचं नॉलेज तुम्ही तिथे शेअर करू शकता, लर्न करू शकता. तुमची प्रोफाईल तुमची जेवढी स्ट्रॉंग बनवता येते, कंपन्यांची प्रोफाईल तिथे स्ट्रॉंग येते. आज मी ज्या कंपनीमध्ये काम करतोय त्या कंपनीमध्ये जॉब मला लिंक्डइन थ्रू मिळाला आहे, तेही अप्लाय न करता. कारण मी तिथे माझे इनपुट्स शेअर करत होतो, अजूनही करतो. गोष्ट अशी आहे की कोणत्या मीडियमचा आपण कशा पद्धतीने वापर करायला हवा. व्हॉट्सॲप हे मीडियम जस्ट फक्त मेसेज पास करण्यासाठी नाही, तर नॉलेज शेअरिंगसाठी आपण यूज करू शकतो. मी जेव्हा पासआउट झालो इंजिनिअरिंग, माझ्याकडे जॉब नव्हता. माझ्यासारखे कितीतरी माझे मित्र होते की ज्यांच्याकडे जॉब नव्हता. मी जस्ट एक व्हॉट्सॲप ग्रुप बनवला ह्याच्यासाठी की जस्ट इथे आपण जॉब ओपनिंग शेअर करून आपण आपल्या मित्रांमध्ये आम्ही हे करिअर बिल्डअप करावं, आपण आपलं कसं ग्रो करता येईल हे डिस्कशन आम्ही करत होतो तिथे. आणि आज हे डिस्कशन जवळपास मी ट्विटरवर जवळपास 50,000 पेक्षा जास्त लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचवतोय. दर महिन्याला आम्ही सेशन्स घेत असतो फ्री ऑफ कॉस्टमध्ये. टेलिग्राम चॅनल्स मार्फत जवळपास 28,000 लोकांपर्यंत ही माहिती पोहोचवतोय. माझ्या हँडलवरून एखादी माहिती जातीये ना, तर ती 3 दिवसानंतर पुन्हा माझ्याकडेच येते कधी कधी. कारण ती एवढी स्प्रेड होते की लोकांना गरज काय आहे सध्या, ॲक्च्युअल काय इनपुट घ्यायला पाहिजेत, ही एवढी सगळी मंडळी आहेत मोठी माझ्यापेक्षा. पण ह्यांच्या इथे सध्या सकाळपासून बघतोय सगळ्यांना कोणतीही कंपनी असो त्या कंपनीला स्किलेबल एम्प्लॉई पाहिजेत, म्हणजे स्किल असलेले एम्प्लॉई, बेसिक प्रॉपर असलेले एम्प्लॉई. पण सध्या जे बाहेर ग्रॅज्युएट्स बाहेर येत आहेत ते ह्या गोष्टी बघत नाही आहेत, ते ह्याच्यातून शॉर्टकट्स बघत आहेत. तर तो शॉर्टकट कोणता आहे, तर जस्ट फेक एक्सपिरियन्स दाखवणे. किंवा जस्ट आत्ता काही दिवसांपूर्वी ॲक्सेंच्युअर्स कंपनीने 10,000 लोकांना फायर आउट केलं. का तर फेक एक्सपिरियन्स दाखवला आहे सध्या. मग ही ग्रॅज्युएट्स अशी घडायला नाही पाहिजेत. जशी आत्ता आपण लोक घडला आहात की काहीतरी मेहनत घेऊन स्किल डेव्हलप करून नॉलेज घेऊन मग तुम्ही एक एक स्टेज पुढे सरकलात. जस्ट एका रात्रीत तुम्ही CEO किंवा CTO झालेला नाही आहात, तुम्ही स्टेप बाय स्टेप पुढे आलेला आहात. आत्ताच्या जनरेशनला ते नाही मिळतच नाही आहे ते इनपुट. इंडस्ट्रीकडून जे इनपुट द्यायला पाहिजे ते काही ठिकाणी कमी जातं, काही ठिकाणी हे होतं. पण कॉलेजेसकडून असे आता पुण्यामध्ये COEP आहेत, मोठे कॉलेजेस DY पाटील आहेत, भरपूर मोठे कॉलेजेस हे इनपुट देतात. पण अशा कितीतरी कॉलेजेस आहेत महाराष्ट्राच्या बाहेर भारतामध्ये की ज्याच्यापर्यंत ह्या गोष्टी जातच नाही आहेत. अशा खूप खूप कमी आहेत. मी ज्या कॉलेजमध्ये शिकलो, मी ज्या कॉलेजमध्ये होतो तिथे आम्हाला हे इनपुट्स खूप कमी मिळायचे. जिथे म्हणजे लिंक्डइन हा काय प्रकार हे माहितीच नव्हतं. फायनल इयर इंजिनिअरिंग म्हणजे अक्षरशः इंजिनिअरिंग फायनल इयरला पण नाही, इंजिनिअरिंग झाल्यानंतर कळालं की हे असा काहीतरी सोशल मीडिया आहे की ज्याच्यावर आपल्याला आपलं करिअर ग्रो करता येण्यासारखं आहे. आज मी दिवसातला जास्त वेळ माझा घालवतो ना, तो सगळ्यात ट्विटरपेक्षाही सगळ्यात जास्त वेळ माझा जातो तो लिंक्डइनवर. म्हणजे माझ्या ऑफिसमधले माझे जे सिनियर मॅनेजर्स आहेत किंवा जे काही डिझाईन ऑथॉरिटी आहेत ते मला म्हणतात की अरे तू लिंक्डइनवर खूप ॲक्टिव्ह असतोस. म्हणलं कारण का, कारण तिथून खूप इनपुट्स मिळतात. रेडिट एक असं ऑप्शन पर्याय आहे की जिथे तुम्ही सेल्फ लर्न कितीही करू शकता. इलॉन मस्कनी मागे टाकलं होतं एक, तो स्वतः याच्यावरून शिकतोय. मीडियम पण गोष्ट अशी आहे की सगळ्याच गोष्टी इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स किंवा इंडस्ट्री किंवा गव्हर्नमेंट यांच्यावर न टाकता आपण पण स्वतः आपलं ग्रो पुढे सरकायचं असेल तर आपण सेल्फ लर्न करून पुढे सरकता यायला हवं असं मला वाटतं. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. आपल्या सर्वांचे खूप खूप धन्यवाद. व्हेरी व्हेरी थँकफुल टू ईच वन ऑफ यू for expressing your views. As I mentioned, there is so much more that we can learn from each one of them. But given the constraints of the format, we will conclude this part of the session here.
Thank you. I request Mr. Dinanath Kholkar, Senior VP TCS and Executive Committee Member MCCIA, to felicitate the guests.
While Dina does the honors, I'll continue to mention you that we'll continue the sessions now. There is one session with academia, and there will be immediately thereafter, Honorable Minister is on his way. Any moment he'll be here. We'll be able to. Please, Dina. I think I'll do this bit now. Thank you. I'll invite on stage Shri Bharat Agarwal, Dr. Shikha Jain, and Dr. Pradeep Mane from Vishwakarma University, IMDR, and AISSMS respectively. With your round of applause, we'll welcome them on the stage. The wonderful part of such sessions is also the networking that happens at the back end of these sessions, right? That can take forward many things. As I mentioned, immediately after this session, we would receive Honorable Minister and will get to listen to his address. I think now the question is a bit different, I guess. The question is, what is it that's a takeaway for each one of you from what you heard 21 different speakers? And what would be your appeal? Because it's also they should also hear you. What would be your appeal? So those are the two questions. Each one of you, if you could take 3 to 4 minutes each, then we'll have about 15 minutes for this session. So please.
First of all, a very good afternoon to one and all present for this wonderful event. Since morning, we have been hearing to almost 21 experts, stalwarts from the industry. All three of us being the part of the academia. And the takeaways from the morning sessions, I would just put it in this way is that one thing I liked was what Mr. Bhargava said, that MCCI is the bhadji or the facilitator between the industry and academia. So we want that this MCCI should be more proactively get involved in this activities, because what I personally feel is that if MCCI facilitates the industry and institute interaction, it will be wonderful, because when we talk about the new education policy, it has been saying that there should be a lot of industry institute interactions. And what I propose also, I'll just put this also, that if it is possible for MCCI to see to it that they appoint mentors for institutes. Like what I said, that the bhadji should see to it that the marriages are taking place, and like maybe we have one Draupadi and 5 Pandavas. So if we are tied up with one industry, that will be more beneficial, because the last speaker also where what we heard is that there are many institutions who do not get the chance of interacting, or they fall short of interacting with the industries. So this is the first takeaway, that MCCI can play a very important role. And then the other things which most of the industries talked about was the employability skills, how they can be improved. And for that matter, I'll say that almost all the institutes are taking many measures in this way. And today we will find that, yes, there are, like even Bharatji said, that as a part of the academia, many regulations have become more light, even though the NEP is talking about light but tight regulations, but things have changed a lot. Many institutes have started becoming autonomous. And when we talk about the autonomy, or for that matter, the institutes becoming universities, there is a lot of flexibility in the academic part, where the things which were mentioned about how we can involve the industry in the academia, where we can have open electives with the help of the industry. So whatever industry needs, the contents can be designed accordingly. And as I said, that many institutes are doing these things. And along with this, I also want to mention that many of the institutes have very good connect with the industry. I just want to mention that since morning we have been talking about this. The industries do have a mandate of spending something on the CSR activities. But I feel that very few industries, their focus is maybe under the CSR funds, they are not giving that much to the higher education part of it. Because if, just to mention that in our institute, Forbes Marshall Emerson, they have set very good labs, and also Madhav Capacitor, they funded 25 lakhs for our power quality. Maybe similar, in the similar way, many other industries may have associated with some good institutes. So this is also one of the takeaways, that I feel that the expectation which the industry does have with us, and because of the status which the institutes are having in form of the autonomy, or maybe some institutes becoming the universities, it is possible. So these are the two major points which since morning I have as a takeaway. Thank you.
So very good evening to everyone. And first of all, thank you so much MCCI for giving this platform and for a wonderfully organized program. So जैसे सर ने बोला था, तालियों की कीमत नहीं होती, एक ताली MCCI के लिए. Lots and lots of takeaways since morning, and a lot of problems and challenges with fresh recruits that industry has expressed since morning. I think most of the academic institutions already know, because you have a feedback system in place. So the only thing is when you hear straight from the horse's mouth on a platform like this, the realization is even greater. So totally agree on the requirement of upskilling. A lot has been talked about the sincerity and commitment levels, the staying power, perseverance. A lot has been said about communication skills and the power of expression. A lot has been said about flimsiness. So I think we are dealing with it on a daily basis. So I think we all of us know that there are problems. What my primary takeaway therefore would be, one of the most wonderful things that I'm taking away today, Bharatji, you started it when you said in your inaugural address. And one of the most wonderful things that we are taking away today as IMDR is that industry is welcoming. They want academia to take initiatives, reach out to them, and work with them, partner with them in transforming a generation where academia is proud and industry is taking them with open hearts and minds. So I think we will reach out, which also means that probably in the way we've been reaching out to the industry hasn't worked well, or perhaps the inside view of academic institutions and how much hard work that they do, or what kind of adaptation to the changing and dynamic environment that academia takes up is not visible to the industry. So I think on that visibility point, I'd also point out to my team members, we need to do that. We need to showcase to the industry what we are doing. And also, if we are not able to meet their expectations, reach out to them, align ourselves to their expectations and requirements. So definitely a lot of takeaways from today as far as how some things I would also like to mention that we do, and Bharatji and Pradeepji would agree. So they talked about ESG. I think ESG is in our curriculum. We are talking about, one of the stalls outside talks about 3D printing. So we have applications of 3D printing as a subject. Financial modeling. So Excel is definitely known. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Industry requires a lot of experts in structured approach to corporate social responsibility, which is more effective. So we have CSR as a structured learning program. We have humanities-based subjects, and all of us do that when we are sitting on this side. Humanities-based subjects. We have psychology for managers, sociology is taught in B schools these days, or in academic institutions these days. Emotional intelligence and EQ component of students is well taken care of. Having said that, we still understand there are challenges. Just like industry is changing fast, the impact that the industry is making on this generation is something which we also see because the generation is changing. So we are also adapting, and definitely a lot of takeaways from today's session.
Thank you, Mccia ma'am and Pradeep sir. Honestly, nothing more to add. A lot of takeaways of the day. We understand and appreciate once again that the gap between industry and academia is there. We have to put in efforts to bridge that gap as much as possible. Knowing the fact that technology is changing, world is changing, the way businesses are done is changing, and in this changing scenario, it is sometimes a catching the game that we always end up playing. The industry changes with technology, systems, processes, and then it is left to the academia to catch up with it. While let me also ensure and assure all the industry folks over here that the academia is much, much more proactive, reactive to all these changing needs than ever before. All three of us sitting over here, plus all my academia colleagues who have their presence over here, on behalf of everyone, we would like to state that the mindset has changed, the processes have changed, the leadership is now much more evolved and much more responsive, much more responsible. Maybe the visibility of our efforts is not yet known to the industry. So we would like to express that please, we understand the requirement of labs to be, of the skills to be built in. We will address those labs and we will definitely try and overcome those labs as much as possible. Prashantji also mentioned that let's make an appeal. And I stated in the morning the address, I'd like to just reinstate that the appeal I have is one that we have to grow as a society. And while we grow as a society, while our intent is to grow as a society, we have to help each other. And the first step of helping each other is to show faith. Have faith, have that small leap of faith, throw your problems to our students, to our faculty, because a real on-hand experience by students and faculty will go a long way in training them than any of the books knowledge that we can give them. And second, also have a more broader thought process towards students. We, for sure, are not training the student for a job. We are training the student for life. We are training the student for career. It might just happen that a particular student is not fit for your interview, but doesn't mean that he is a poor student. He is fit for some other interview at some other place. And with this objective, with this mindset, I believe, if we look at students, if we look at academia, our intent to contribute towards them would also be higher. Since Prashant has taken a breath, I was finished with my answer, but I'll just carry on. I also am the chairman of the Maratha Chamber Higher Education Committee, and just now a hearing from Mane sir and Jain ma'ams, I take this opportunity that yes, Maratha Chamber will take up more responsibility towards bridging this gap. We'll have more such sessions. I have heard of wonderful models of engagement. Prashant, we have 2 minutes or?
Yeah, please,
okay.
Please continue. I'm just standing here, I was sitting and getting up, please.
So, on behalf of MCCI, I can also assure that we will put in more efforts. I have had wonderful models. Mane sir mentioned that can there be an industry mentor to an institute. look at the volume we have. We have thousands of students. The engineering admissions in Pune, around 30 or 1,000 engineers take admissions every year. And I'm sure that many professionals are there outside. So I would like to have a higher dream. Then we have one industry mentor per student. If that is possible, then the challenges of projects, the challenges of internships, the challenges of mentoring, the challenges of jobs goes away. I request the industry to, of course, mentor the institute, but take that extra bit of time from each individual's job profile and work with a student at an institute. I am more than willing. We have 20,000 students at my college. I would love to have 20,000 mentors, and I'm sure every one of us will agree over here that we have those many people out there in the professional world. What we only appeal is for your time. So please take out time and contribute to the students. Finally, अपने ही बच्चे हैं, तो हमारे means वो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. That's all.
Prashantji, just 1 minute. I just want to add to this. The mentoring part in our institute at least has been done by many of the stalwarts from industry. Even we have Mr. Dinanath and Mr. Jagdish Chaudhary from TCS who are mentoring our students. So it helps a lot in changing the attitude, aptitude of the students. And the thing what I was saying that he said on the very larger scale, but I'm saying that at least one industry linked with 5 institutes to begin with. So it will surely help us in understanding what is the need of the industry. And since morning, one more thing I just want to add is about the faculty. We should not forget the faculty, because the faculty is the heart of the overall system of the academia. And what we have observed is that most of our teachers, they do not have the industry background. And then things go haywards because the teacher just teaches what is there in the textbook. He does not have the real life or real world problems which are there. So at least what I feel is that the teachers, in the morning we had somebody saying that from TCS, from Tata Motors, he said that he'll allow teachers to come for even 6 months of training. Probably we have started an institute that during the vacation period, because all of you know that we in academia, we do have 70 days of vacation, which probably the industry, what you can say, you will become jealous of all of us that we are having 70 days of vacation. But this vacation should be put into better practice nowadays, because since industry has started or giving us the approach, I feel that we have started an institute, probably even VIT and other institutes have also started that they are sending their teachers for industrial training. But again, if more industries come in forward, giving chance to the teachers for maybe minimum 10 to 15 days of training, it will help a lot in improving the overall standard of the students who are coming out.
Thank you, thank you. Understood. Thank you so much. A round of applause to the entire panel. How do I go home with such guilt of actually stopping 24 speakers, at one stage or another? Imagine this. But thank you so much, each one of you, for this brilliant session. I'm going to request Mr. Pradeep Bhargava, former president MCCI, to felicitate each of the speakers now. And while he comes here, I'm announcing that in another 5 minutes, possibly we'll have Honorable Minister coming here. Request you to please be seated. If one of you needs to step out for a bio break or tea break, do that, but come back and sit around. Might have to wait for 5 minutes here, and we'll get going with the program. Sir, we'll have to stand for a photo. Thank you once again, and a huge round of applause to all the participants now. All the participants. Because I can only imagine, I have been on the other side also, what it takes to assimilate so much of it that has happened. I'm just hoping at least there are a couple of nuggets each one of you picked up. As I mentioned, in another 5 minutes, we'll be back again we're just waiting for Honorable Minister to arrive. Sorry for the inconvenience caused to just keep you stranded while there is nothing happening here, right? After having rushed this through, but such is job, I guess. Any one of you need to step out for bio break, feel free to do that and come back and stay around here. Also good time for networking, etc. among each other, among the speakers, industries. Request is just stay in the hall so that as soon as the gentleman comes, we could start.
बाटल्या पटकन जा